Shalom Aleichem. I'd like to discuss with the community the issue of the importance of raising your children and giving them a Jewish education. Every Jewish community in the world that has survived as a Jewish community, that has continued to be an observant community, is only because of one thing. Not because of the guarding of the mitzvahs, not because of any stringencies they have, not because of spending lots of money on chesed and other types of wonderful things. All these are very good. However, the basis of every single Jewish community's survival is the next generation. It is the first and foremost thing in the minds of every single Jewish community, not just the parents. A very, very large mistake that some people coming from the outside might think is that the school, I'm an old person, what do I have to do with the school? I have no children anymore. Or I'm a young person, I'm not married yet, or my kids aren't in school. I'll start paying school dues when my kids go to school. This is a major error. The survival of the Jewish people has always been because we are going to teach our children. What is the havtacha, the promise that Abraham is given from Hashem? It says because he knows that he will teach his children and his children's children after him the ways of Hashem. That's when Hashem is making the brit with Abraham Avinu. Our entire survival is based solely upon, are we able to pass our Torah on to our children? If we are unsuccessful at this, we have to find ways that we're going to be successful. If we don't have any children, we have to help other people's children. This is where our continuance will be. I'm going to give you a very good example of people that didn't necessarily have the strongest Jewish community, yet the education was the first and foremost thing in their mind. I'll give you an example of, for example, my next door neighbor, Rabbi Berlin, who has over 100 great-grandchildren right now. Grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Rabbi Berlin was born secular. His parents, secular Jews. And his grandmother said, it has to be that the child will learn at a Jewish school. The parents, the home wasn't a religious home, but the child was sent to a religious school. The grandmother, during times of a depression, she paid money to send this child for Jewish education. Rabbi Berlin then became a religious man. Actually, his parents, before they died, started to follow Shabbos. Every descendant of him is a religious Jew. However, from his cousins, most of them intermarried. Not one of them remained a religious person. Was this because the home was such a religious place? No. What was it because? Jewish education. We must make this the central part of our community in Puebla. You people are coming in and have made such incredible efforts to become servants of Hashem. Well, the first thing to be a servant of Hashem is exactly that which Abraham Avinu had the brit made with, because he knows that Abraham will teach his children and his children's children after him. It is absolutely imperative, exceedingly important requirement for every member of the community to somehow be helping the school. Whether that be that you're a parent and you're trying to send your children there, and of course you have to pay your tuition. That's first. Or whether you are some other member of the community and would like, well, maybe we should be spending more money on a Sefer Torah or changing some furniture in the shul. You can forget the Sefer Torah and you forget the furniture in the shul. If your school is not continuing well, everything, including the Sefer Torah, takes backseat. The first thing we have to have is children learning the Torah, so that there will be another generation before everything. Let's talk for a moment about the parents. I have been informed that there are many parents who, for some reason, think that, well, maybe I don't have to really pay. The school will take care of it anyway, and somehow it'll just happen. I have to tell you, when I heard this, my jaw dropped open. Why? It shows how much of a non-Jewish background you come from. I have no doubt that the people who said this did convert and are good Jews with a Goyish mentality, a completely Goyish mentality. How do we build the Jewish world? Not by letting someone else do it, but by actively making it happen. Every parent who would send their children to school and say, but I'm poor, I don't have the money, and yet they have a phone, which costs some money. They've got a nice blender in their house, which costs a lot of money. They maybe buy some nice new shirts, and they want to have some chicken, and they want to have some meat for Yom Tov. Really? You're going to be spending money on any of those things, and you're not going to be spending money on your children's education because you somehow think the community is going to take care of you. You're supposed to be taking care of the community, not the community taking care of you. And at the heart of the community, the most important thing, the Jewish education. If you don't have a heart, the body's dead. Dead. Therefore, you want your Judaism to continue, you want your community to continue, and you're going to say, hey, it's okay, I'll have the community support me on education. I'll spend my money on something else. Rather, your Shabbos should be vegetarian. Your clothes should have holes in them. Your phone is half broken. And your house looks like it's falling apart. But yet you're paying your tuition. Very important. What you're teaching your children is that the most important thing is the Torah. When you send your kids to school and you're not putting the effort to pay for their education, what message do you think that is to your children? That it's just education. It's just like any old Mexican secular school. And if I can get out of paying, I will. It's not like that. This is Torah. This is the central part of your life. If your children know how difficult it is for you to pay, and you do it, if they know we don't have chicken this Shabbos, why? We're paying for school. And daddy's clothes look like he's been sweeping the streets. Why? Because he's paying for education. Why is that important, Daddy? Why do we not have this? Why do we not have that? Because your education in Judaism is more important to me than all these other things. That child will grow up great in Torah. But a child who the parents have lots and the school's falling apart, and they find out that somehow all secrets come out. Mom and dad didn't have the money for school, but they had money for everything else. The kids got it. Torah is not that important. So if you want success with your children, you better do everything you can. And if it means getting another job, so get another job. I did it. I had 8 kids. You think I was able to pay for everything with one job? Tell me another story. Okay, of course you had to do more than one. Isn't that obvious? Now, as far as the other members of the community, I've said this in every course that I've done. Even if you're an old lady who doesn't have any children and never did, and you're a member of the community, where does your tzedakah go? The school. But I have no children. Do you care about the continuance of the community? But it's not my kids. It's not your kids. What a horrible attitude. It is your kids. The Jewish kids are your children. Let me tell you about a tzaddik. You've all heard about Panovich Yeshiva, the world's most renowned yeshiva. It started out with 6 students after the Holocaust. Rav Kahneman, who became the Rosh Yeshiva, was busy in the beginning collecting children from orphanages, that the parents had been killed and that the Catholic Church was hiding, saying, no, they're not Jews. And he did all types of tricks. You've all heard the song, Shema, Shema Yisrael, about Rabbi Kahneman. He went into the dormitories of the Catholic orphanages, singing Shema Yisrael, seeing if any kids would say anything. He ended up taking out huge amounts of children, bringing them to Eretz Yisrael. Some of them was able to reunite with an aunt or an uncle. And he gave every one of those kids a Jewish education. If you look at the letterhead, I just got it because my son just got accepted to Panovich, Baruch Hashem. The amount of institutions underneath this yeshiva is amazing. He didn't stop. The war just, ended. People dead. Can't leave one child back there. Every child who's not his kid has to get an education. If there is no school for such a kid, we're going to make a school. There is no dormitory for such kids, we'll get it. We'll do it. How do you do it? Jewish community was very wealthy, wasn't it, right after the Holocaust? It was dying. Not a penny. People had nothing. But it didn't matter. You rebuild a Jewish world. How? Jewish education. Go take a look into Lomas, Polanco. Go look around Mexico City. You see the yeshivas lining the road. Yes, they're wealthy people. But you know something? They realized, leaving Syria, how are you going to rebuild a community? We can't live where we were or have to uproot everything. How do we rebuild? The Jewish schools first. How did Yaakov Avinu do this? Yaakov Avinu, when he left Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Canaan, he took Yehuda, which your community is being named after. He told Yehuda when he went, he knew that from Yehuda would come Malchus, kingship. Kingship? Running the country, running the Jews? How are you going to do this? Before the people ever stepped foot in Egypt, you go ahead of us. Set up a base midrash. Set up a tent. Before we have a place to sleep, before we have a place to sit down and eat, set up a base midrash so that we can learn. Because if we don't set it up first to learn, we'll fail. Because Yaakov was doing exactly what his grandfather, who he had met, Abraham, had been promised. Because you will teach your children and your children's children the ways of Hashem. So Yaakov knew, we're moving, we're settling somewhere else, set up the base midrash first. I want every single member of this community to realize that Elul was coming. Elul is a time when we emphasize tshuva. People are going to be in a Sephardic community, going to be saying slichot. Can you really say slichot? I'm sorry, you're trying chatanu lefanecha, and we're trying to get close to Hashem. How? After doing real tshuva. Are you really doing tshuva when your school is in financial difficulties? Maybe somewhat because you, the parent, aren't paying your dues, or you, a member of the community, have your money for something else. The school. It's the first thing. And not, okay, I'll give my 20 pesos to the school. Look what the school needs. Wherever the necessity is, that's where we have to be helping. The school is the most central thing. It's the heart. You can let a foot that's broken be broken, but you cannot have a heart that is clogged and leave it that way. Not for a minute. not for a second. As such, it is extremely important for every single one of you people, as Elul is coming, to think, before I start to do tshuva and say slichot, where am I as far as this community? Everyone who saves one life amongst the Jewish people is as if they had saved a world. A Jewish child without an education is going to end up acting like a goy. And therefore, a person who will make sure that there will be Jewish education for this child is saving that life. Not just the life of 120 years here, more importantly, the life of that child in the world to come. You're building an individual and giving him life by giving him Torah. Because the Torah, kihem chayenu, because they are our life and the length of our days both in this world and the world to come. And in them we will think day and night. Where? How can you be thinking about them day and night when you were never taught them? You guys did a lot to become good Jews. The next step is to make sure that this school is strengthened in every and any way it possibly can be. May Hashem give you a lot of bracha. But bracha doesn't come without effort. I hope that success will be something we will all see very soon. But we can't just hope that it will happen. It is our job to do it. Lafum tsara agra. According to the difficulty, so is the reward. What tsara? What difficulty? Of course it's difficult to take money out of your pocket. I know what that is. It's not so easy. But building the schools all over the Jewish world has never been easy. Think it was easy for Yehuda to go out to a new country alone? What's going to be? What are we gonna see? What's going to be the future with our children? We must work hard from the outset. And we must never, ever give up. And if there are slide backs, this didn't work or that didn't work, that doesn't mean you give up. What it means is you keep moving. You look for where there are problems, solve them. And when you teach your children that the central aspect of your life and where your money's going and where your efforts are going is the school, you are guaranteeing that your children will go on the right path. But if your money is going to be going to not so important things, and you show that the school is not so important, you're the best teacher to your child of how to fail as a Jew. You all know what you're supposed to do. It's hard, granted. Do it. Elul's coming. Ani ledodi, ledodi li. You want Hashem to be close to you? I have to first be for Dodi. I have to first be for Hashem. How can I be for Hashem? The same way with Abraham. Because he would teach his children and his children's children after him. May Hashem make the efforts that you are going to do very successful. B'mehera v'yameinu. B'hatzlacha. Rabbah.